Hello and welcome to the Fire Breathing Kittens podcast. We are a tabletop role-playing game podcast where we try out different kinds of combat and mechanic systems. Every episode is a micro story or a micro plot that fits within the larger macro plot. So you can decide which episodes you want to listen to and which ones you don't want to listen to without any break in continuity in the universe. Today, we're playing with the mechanics of a game Foretold. Of a game called Foretold. This is a tarot RPG by Lynn Rojas, and that's Roxas for Rojas. If you enjoy this game and the mechanics that we're using, you can find Foretold on Drive-Thru RPG, and that's through spelled with THRU. Today, we are joined by Graveyard Shift.
Hello, everyone. I am a 6'5" robot man. I am brass in color. I am wearing a standard issue uniform of the Night Watch, which is a dark vest and dark pants. I did have a poncho. I no longer have that poncho. However, I do have a priestly robe that I found in a dungeon that has been retrofitted to fit within Night Watch standards, but there are a few embellishments here and there.
Great. And we're also joined by Reine Evilby.
Hello. I am a human-looking woman. I am a number tall that I forgot, but I am on the smaller side. I have dirty ash blonde hair, which in my opinion looks a bit more gray than actually blonde. I'm pretty easy to recognize by the scar on that goes over my left eye. It's kind of like a claw mark, and I always wear some kind of hat or scarf on top of my head. I am clad in typical adventurous gear, so linen, leather, and shoulder pauldrons, and I usually have a belt with all kinds of satchels of animal foods and forageables on me.
Fantastic. And last but not least, we have Cheryl. Carol? How do you pronounce your name, Miss Chavez?
Oh, people have said Carol, people have said Cheryl, people have said Cheryl. It's all good. I am practicing a character voice today, which is to say you are suffering through my beginner movements through learning this character voice, because I think playing role-playing games with your friends is a great way to learn new voices, and voices are fun or cringy, depending on how you feel. You're still listening, so I probably should take that as a good sign. So, why should you trust a glue salesperson?
Do I want to know this answer?
Birds of a feather flock together?
I have no guesses. I just want to hear.
They stick to their word.
There it is.
Okay.
I'm not amused.
So this is how we're starting the game, huh? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. That's a hard act to follow, Cheryl, but I'm going to do my best. So we'll start out this game in the Fire Breathing Kittens Guild Hall. You all are lounging around when you hear a knock, knock, knock at the Guild Hall door. And the door opens and you see a delivery person step in. They're holding a wrapped package with a letter on top, and they say, hey, is there an Errol Corvidbow or a Krista Evans here?
Oh, Krista, that is me, yes. You guys are like, no, that's not her name. And then I go and I sign for the package.
Okay. They hand it to you, give you a wave goodbye, and head out. And you can see that this package is wrapped in simple paper, and there is a letter on top, and it says Errol Corvidbow or Krista Evans.
I open the letter.
Okay. It simply says, Dear fire-breathing kittens, The vendors of the Vanilla Food and Beverage Convention are in grave danger. And strangely enough, convention is spelled with a K. The Consent Creamery Information Arm will send at least 2 spies to the conference to steal trade secrets. Their targets are Hestia's Bestia's famous sour cream and onion flavoring inventor, Alana Divino, and the Moon Dollars engineers, Tipsy and Tapsy Keg Tinker. Unfortunately, these are the only 2 targets that I know of, but there are almost certainly more spies in attendance. All the vendors are in danger. You must protect them and their hard-earned intellectual property. Signed, KFG. And let me know if you want me to repeat any of that.
I want you to repeat all of that. Because all of us missed a part.
No worries. So, dear fire-breathing kittens, the vendors of the Vanilla Food and Beverage Convention are in grave danger. The Consent Creamery Information Arm will send at least 2 spies to the conference to steal trade secrets. Their targets are Hestia's Bestia's famous sour cream and onion flavoring inventor, Alana Divino, and the Moon Dollars engineers, Tipsy and Tapsy Keg Tinker. Unfortunately, these are the only 2 targets that I know of, but there are almost certainly more spies in attendance. All the vendors are in danger. You must protect them and their hard-earned intellectual property. Signed, KFG.
I take the paper and I look at it like, oh, this does not come with gold. And I just kind of like set it on the table. Maybe somebody else would be in it. The kindness of their heart, they'll be willing to do this. And I go and I get a beer.
Remember, there's also a package that comes with the letter.
Oh, yeah. Wait, that might be gold. I open that.
So in the package, you find 3 potions in teardrop-shaped bottles that are about the size of your fist. They're royal blue and lightly fizzy. And there is a note that comes with them. And you also see train tickets, convention passes, and a note for 15,000 gold pieces.
Oh, this is it. A job. I would take this. Okay, so I go up to a graveyard. I go up to a graveyard and Reine, who I've been drinking beers with all day. Hey guys, we're drunk for this episode. And I'm like, I got these package and the rounds are on me. And I buy your beers.
Graveyard is, he was like halfway done his first one and he's already buzzed and now he has 1.5 pints in front of him. He's a good boy. He doesn't really drink. So this is a lot. He's like, if he could be rosy and glowing, he would be. And he's kind of slumped on the table. His ocular lens, the aperture is like half closed, like a half lidded eye. And he just kind of looks up and he's like, is there a job for me to be a good boy?
I love Graveyard so much.
Oh, I'm corrupting you. But I'm really not. Because Jess, you can be a very good boy. You can protect the, there is no better good in capitalism than protecting the intellectual property of a corporate entity.
Oh boy, I do like thwarting corporate espionage.
No, you don't like corporate espionage. That's the point.
I like stopping it.
That's good. Reine has probably already finished all of her drinks. She probably had something really fatty to eat, so it doesn't affect her as much. And she's just really glad that she did this newspaper delivery job so that she could afford to eat something fatty with the drink.
Well, with 15,000 gold, I buy your food and drink, and I hand you a blue teardrop-shaped potion, and I hand one to Graveyard as well.
Oh, that's very kind of you, but what exactly, mermaid tears or, fertilizer?
Oh man, I already have pint and a half. I'm not doing shots.
Okay, we will drink these at the convention. Let's go. And I bustle you guys out the door. I leave a bunch of gold on the table. I'm very generous. It's weird with I make money, but I spend money. And we are out the door.
You spend money in hopes of making more money upon stopping corporate espionage.
Yes.
I mean, hey, classic investor knowledge, right? You got to spend money to make money. Okay. So you go over to the local train station and you find out that Benilla is a city in the northern coastal region of Jezik. And so it is a relatively short train ride away. But while you're on the train, you do get some more information about the potions from the note that was with them in the box. And it is on blue paper, and the script is written in very curling, classic script. And it says, "Hello, to whoever drinks this, have fun, but be careful. This potion is concentrated fate. Once you drink this, you can alter the weaves of time, but only for 3 hours or so. Use it wisely."
I'm so glad we didn't drink that.
Wait, okay. This is me talking. Is this Alana, the troll witch?
Yeah, so the Alana mentioned in the first letter is the troll witch. And then Graveyard, you would actually recognize this script as belonging to Greta.
Okay. Guys, listen up. This person's good stuff. She's good people. We should probably throw these back right now.
It does say that it only holds for 3 hours, though, and I'm not sure how long the train ride is. And I don't think, unless the train derails, which I hope it doesn't, but I don't think we necessarily need to alter the weaves of fate for a train ride.
Yeah, it feels like a one-way thing. Okay, Reine, you know what you're talking about.
I mean, the cushions could be softer, but it's probably not worth it.
How long's the train ride?
It's about an hour. And so you take the hour train ride, you get off at the station in Benilla, and it is very sunny. Think San Diego-esque, where it's dry but very warm and pleasant, and you can smell the sea breeze as soon as you step outside. And so when asking about the convention, you're pointed the way, and you can see upon approach that it is hard to miss. Unlike all of the other buildings in Benilla, which is made of stone, wood, brick, this convention center is made almost entirely of glass windows. And you can see the front wall that approaches is tens of feet tall, and you can see inside into a small foyer, which again has more glass walls inside of it. And beyond that, you see this glass egg-shaped room, and it is enormous. And think like an egg on its side, so it's an elliptical room, and you can see like lights and ribbons and things like that, and there are crowds milling outside the front entrance. It's a pretty grand and impressive building. You know that with your passes, you can get through the front without waiting in line, but you don't always have to go through the front. It's really up to you.
I mean, for the beginning, Ray's probably not going anywhere because she has never seen anything like this before. And like the one eye that's like still working, like the pupil is probably like really wide, and she's just extremely fascinated, and is probably just being like, but that's a lot of but that's not, just puzzled by how someone could put this together, and also like being a little bit tempted to chase like some of the reflections, but she's holding herself back for now.
I spent my ride making my convention pass into a vendor's convention pass. Modifying. I took a Sharpie to it. And I have gotten something on the way to the train station that is like, it's like a frying pan. And there's like a small bag with me full of like shiny tablecloth, you know, like if you've seen The Little Mermaid, like Ariel's green scales, It's like a tablecloth of that. It looks really fancy, you know. And so I see Reine's confusion and I say, oh, this is your first time in the big city.
Yeah, I mean, my first time in a sparkling city.
I spread out the tablecloth so that she can see and be excited and distracted by this. Manageable goals, right? Focus on what's in front of you. And I say, can you help me set up?
Oh, of course. I'd gladly help. I didn't realize you were a vendor.
And neither did I. And so we like help Graveyard out of his seat because it's wearing off. I don't know. Are you still drunk?
I'm feeling better, but I'm feeling a little sick.
Oh no.
Okay, empty your stomach and then we will fill it with blue.
He understands what you mean by stomach, but he's like kind of opens his chest a little bit. And like kind of like an oil pan, he kind of takes out and he just kind of finds the nearest trash can and then just like dumps it.
That's so convenient.
If only life were so easy.
Puts it back in, rubbages in his pack, and then, tops it back up with some clean oil.
A quick solution.
And as we disembark from the train, Reine, is this a good time, do you think?
I mean, considering we're about to enter the convention, I suppose. If we happen to spot one of the people, like, skulking around, it's probably better to already have had it.
I agree. All right, I tip my potion back and I give it a drink. The navy blue liquid a little bit dribbles at my chin and it looks awful and very surreal.
Reine would probably sniff it for a while and be like, but then probably be like, oh, I don't want to be the odd one out, and just be like, okay, blend in and drink it.
Shockingly, as like a strong juxtaposition between how I was just sounding, my normal voice comes back through. It's like, Greta and Alana are very trustworthy, and I have absolutely no qualms with throwing this back. And Graveyard Shift ingests it.
Perfect. So, Reine, when you take a sniff of the potion, it smells a little bit like blueberries. And as you all down it, it's a very strong taste of blueberries. There is a little bit of a shimmer around all three of you, and then a pulse boof, comes out from you, almost like a mini sonic wave. But it doesn't seem to affect anybody else around you, and then you feel fine after that. And so for the game, this is when the mechanics of Foretold kick in. So you all have your own randomized decks of fate, which contain 15 tarot cards, which I dealt out to you before the game started. And now, if you would like to make any kind of action to influence the past, present, or future, you can pull from that deck by making a declaration and saying what you want to do, and then telling me what of your character traits is influencing that decision or action. You each have 3 character traits called Heart, Blood, and Desire, which respectively are things that you love, you hate, and want. And so that's pretty much the rules of the game. Those are the mechanics. I will resolve any of the declarations, and they're going to have interesting consequences and potentially wide-ranging effects. So think of it as like if you want to make a roll, kind of like if you were to play D&D or other role-playing games, instead of making a roll, you would make a declaration. And I'm not going to tell you guys to make declarations. It is entirely up to your discretion if you want to do that or not.
Okie dokie.
So,
okay.
Considering it also goes into the past, I could technically make a declaration to make the cushion softer.
Technically, yes.
I mean, not worth it.
Oh, and if you run out of your 15 cards, you cannot control fate anymore. So it would be like in D&D being paralyzed and the enemies can just pummel you.
Yep, pretty much. So while you have these cards, you are immune to the effects of the cards, for example. So if you change the past, you will have a different memory of the past, but you will also retain the fact that you changed the past, if that makes sense. As soon as you lose the cards, that's when your potion wears out. And then you are subject to any changes in the world. So if one of your party members changes the past or present, you would not remember what had happened before. You would just have that new memory of events.
I like it.
Okie doke.
Powerful stuff. Use it wisely, but also have fun.
I have the greatest, first use of this that I can think of is that I am actually a vendor. So, I would love, I want to make a declaration that I have a table waiting for me and my frying pan.
Okay, perfect. So which trait is influencing this declaration?
That's a good question. So I have 2 traits, right? The heart and blood.
And you also have desire.
Oh, it's got to be desire. So I want to make money. I want to be a vendor. And I'm wondering how many people I can get to pre-order my frying pan while I'm here today.
Perfect. Go ahead and draw your card.
Okay, here's me shuffling my deck. And the direction matters?
Yes, the direction does matter.
Okay, so this is a face-up 2 of swords, GM.
Okay, so 2 represents partnership, dichotomy, and balance, and swords represent air and intellect. So I will say, you do indeed have a booth there, and you also get knowledge of where to get to your booth and existing knowledge of any other, basically you have the knowledge of any other exhibitioner in this convention. So you know where everything in the, you know, all of the rooms in the convention, you know your neighbors, you know the security volunteers and everything, you know where the employees only area is. So you get a lot of knowledge from this declaration and a booth waiting for you in the exhibition hall.
Oh, that's perfect. I go around the back of the exhibition hall where there's a dumpster and I take us in the vendor door because there's people unloading big wheelie carts full of boxes and it's way quicker than the line, you guys. And I take us right to the vendor table where I start spreading out that green sequin mermaid-like tablecloth, and I put the frying pan, I sort of set it down as if to set it down on the table, but it's 2 feet above the table and it hovers horizontally above the table. And then there's this banner waiting for us that says portable pan or portable pan, depending on how you read it. And it's a pan that's also a table. You can leave it levitating anywhere you want. Levitating above the table, levitating above the flame, levitating at the ceiling because it needs to be out of the way. It's your portable pan.
I like the little jingle.
Yeah, that's nice.
But that means we could decide, or we could try to either make ourselves security personnel, maybe, or we just pretend to be your helpers and then be potential targets, maybe.
Okay, before any other brainstorming happens, I want to describe this space, maybe give you guys an idea of your environment, and that could inform your plans. So going through the vendor entrance, it really is just a side door that leads into a very nice, beautiful hallway. It has pink rose gold tiles on the floor and a pastel blue runner that runs along it. And you can see close by to the vendor entrance is a place that's marked employees only, and there's a security volunteer standing next to the door. But then you very quickly make your way to the actual exhibit hall, which was that large glass egg-shaped room in the center of this building. And you can see that this is an extravagantly and elegantly decorated space. There are vaulted ceilings with large uncovered windows shining natural light down onto all of the massive and various booths that are littering the floor here. There are ribbons of gossamer cloth hanging across the ceiling, and the atmosphere is so lively and electric. It's almost like the vibe itself is just letting those ribbons of cloth sway up on the ceiling. And there are people hawking their wares, trying to get people to try stuff, to listen to them. There are some people who are selling food and beverage based art. There are some people advertising their own new drinks or something like that. Like this place is just like a huge, huge farmer's market with all sorts of vendors and stuff there.
Raine's stomach growls.
And so also for your knowledge, if you'd like to share it, Carol, there is also a poster hall. There is a foyer, which is the front of the building where you would have entered into if you had gone through the regular entrance. There is a tasting room. There's a speaker's room, employees only, obviously, and a garden where there is a therapy dog session going on.
All right. So for my fellow players, I'm going to point out that you should write down those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations, because we can go to those locations and control the flow of the story. So garden with dogs, speaker's room, employees only, tasting room, foyer, poster hall.
Yep. And you're currently in the exhibition hall.
Exhibition hall. Okay. Exhibition hall. All right. So do all of you have those 6 locations written down?
I have 3 out of 6.
I have 5.
Okay. Let me run through them one more time. I know that there's a lot of information at the very beginning. So foyer, which is the front room, exhibition hall, where you are now, poster hall, tasting room, speaker's room, employees only.
Oh, that's different than the speaker's room.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Oops.
And garden with therapy dogs.
Okay, I think I got it down. We'll see.
Same.
I'm a slow writer.
No worries.
I'm a fast typist, but I have a mechanical keyboard, and I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
Thank you for sparing us.
Eardrum
Okay.
massage.
So now that you have all of the information that a typical vendor does, what would you all like to do?
I was going to say you have me at dogs, but that was the last thing you said. But that is what I want to do.
Can never say no to dogs. Though Reine is also very interested in the tasting hall.
Perhaps we should smell good so that the dogs like us more. Get food, pet dogs? But at the word dogs, you notice that Cheryl's face rises and falls. Maybe I got excited and then looked sad. Yeah, and it's almost like I'm delaying seeing dogs because of some reason. But I'm like, if we smell like bacon, they will love us more.
If we smell
I get
like
your
bacon, we
point.
probably had bacon, so that's also good.
I am agreeable. We'll dig into that later. Graveyard shift, despite being a machine, and quite literally cold-hearted because it's made of cold steel. He does have pattern recognition, and that dings something in his memory bank, but given his experience, he's not going to bring it up in the middle of a convention.
Okay, so to the tasting room first then?
Yes.
Agreed.
Awesome. So you make your way across the exhibition hall. It takes a little bit of time given how many people are just packed in here, but you are eventually able to make your way to the tasting room. You go through another door and you enter a wide and sprawling chamber with long arched ceilings. There are tables and chairs and benches all across the room, and you can see at the very back there is a kitchen with an open window, so you can see everybody preparing foods and drinks. And the people, like the vendors who want to have their goods tasted, are going around with carts and visiting people at different tables and benches and offering their foods and goods to them. It's kind of like if you're at a dim sum place, the waiters are basically just like, strolling around with a cart, and you can like pick whatever you want from there. And so this place is pretty lively. It is a little less hectic than the exhibition hall, but there is just an intense aroma of so many different foods and beverages that it just kind of hits you all at once.
I can smell, but I also don't breathe and I don't eat. So I'm pinpointing what things might be, but I'm not getting too excited. However, are my friends getting excited?
Reine is almost getting a bit overwhelmed because she does have a very good nose. but it's overwhelmed in a bit of a good way. So she's probably just looking around.
You can definitely smell bacon. And it's like you can smell bacon with dates. You can smell bacon with corn dogs. You can smell bacon with maple syrup. Like there's so much bacon here.
She's probably easily distracted by the food. But she would also maybe like try and pay a bit closer attention to the people that are actually going around, because it would be like a very good disguise if you're trying to get information from any place. Though I'm not sure if it's in the tasting hall. She would probably bring it up like, I wonder what these like spies would sort of like disguise themselves as, or if they would be more like thieves and like skulk around. But I'm not sure if like the tasting hall is really where the information is at.
Well, let's find out. And I have left a bunch of like business cards for Portable Pan on the booth. Like, pre-order yours by contacting this. Send your letter and gold to this address. And I've got my pan with me. And I walk up to one of the bacon things with Reine and I say, at least try a bacon while you are here. And to the person making the bacon, I say, now, where do you store your pan when you are done?
So one of the bacon vendors is selling croissants wrapped in bacon. And it looks like a human man wearing glasses. And they say, oh, well, my pan is rather greasy after I go and use it to make all of this bacon. So I typically let it sit for a little bit to let the grease congeal, and then I scrape the grease out. But it does damage the pan every time I do it. Why do you ask?
Oh, well, after you scrape the grease out of the pan, and then you have the pan clean and ready for next time, you have to put it with the other pans in the drawer, right? Or the cabinet?
Oh, well, yes, of course. I have so many pans.
And it's so heavy. Well, what if, and I lift with a single finger, because it's weightless, this cast iron pan. What if the pan had permanently levitated and you could store it and I flip it upside down and I put it under the table, right where you need it?
That's incredible. And you can see that he starts to like bend down and like he starts messing with the pan, really trying to test out just how levitatable it is. And he says, portable pan. You must be a very successful business person if you are selling something like this. This is incredible. This is game changing.
Here's my card. So, Reine, you are in if you want to like talk to people. Just, I will open the door. I repeat this spiel to any person you want.
She would probably also, while the talking is going on, she would just like take things off the plates that are like offered from like the people that are going around. So she's definitely already eaten like a bit. She might even help with the pan, sort of like in thanks, and being like, well, if you need to degrease it, you could buy 5 and then just like, turn them around, leave them over your thing, and it'll just drop out.
Oh, that's an incredible suggestion. I really hope so. Let me back up. You've been so kind as to show me your product. This is mine. My name is Felix Padero. I am in Nicomoy, and I've been trying to start up my own bakery, but it's been rather difficult. But I've come up with this new invention, a croissant wrapped in bacon, and I call it a croquant. The name hasn't quite hit yet. I've also considered Besant, but we'll figure it out. But yes, feel free to take as many samples as you'd like, and please share it around. If you're ever in Nicomoy, please come and visit me.
Oh, for sure. Besant does sound very fancy. One of those fancy restaurants. She definitely had like 3 already.
You can see his face is just lighting up. The fact that someone so loves his baked bacon good is just putting such a huge smile on his face.
Have you perhaps had any trouble since since coming here? Were there people that were maybe like not so nice or like seemed kind of off?
Well, I would not say that there have been off people, but there was someone who was asking me quite a lot of questions. Most people ask questions about your goods when you go to conventions like this, but to this person in particular, she was rather insistent for some reason to ask for my specific baking methods, and everybody knows you do not give away trade secrets. A magician never reveals how they make their croissant.
Their basson.
Yes. Perhaps I will stick with basson. But
So
yes, she went off a little bit after maybe about 5 intense minutes of interviewing and me trying to not reveal any important or secret information. But I don't know where she went.
Could you maybe describe her to us?
Well, she was a halfling, a rather tall halfling, and she had purple hair, probably shoulder length, and she was wearing a rather nice skirt with lots of flowers on it, and then a very tasteful blouse.
Thank you very much.
Of
And
course.
very good passons.
Oh, thank you so much. You have no idea how much that means to me. And he goes off and starts talking to other people, and Felix is very noticeably happier. And
Yay.
that seems to infect like other people, and they're more willing to try his basson.
Let's go.
I would like to make a declaration.
Yes.
So, upon overhearing the description of this halfling, I would like to change the past. And
Okay.
I would like to go back to a briefing I was in with the Night Watch, where they are trying to thwart known spies working in the corporate world. So, in this briefing, I'm hoping that the chief can describe or give us some leads on who we're looking for.
Okay. And which trait is this stemming from?
Blood.
Blood.
I hate those who would seek to do evil unto the innocent.
Okay. Go ahead and pull your card.
I got the 2 of Wands, right side up.
Okay. So 2 is partnership, dichotomy, and balance. And wands represent fire, action, and inspiration. So pretty good card to draw if you want to pull on past information. So there is a new memory that pops up in your mind, Graveyard. It's almost like when you have an epiphany and you're like, oh, this is exactly the answer I was looking for. I was trying so hard and I just had to let it come to me. And so you remember in the past that there was one particular corporate spy that was making the rounds of different companies. And every company they joined, they had a different persona, essentially. So they changed their hairstyle, they changed their outfits, they changed their personalities. And the only thing that didn't change was the fact that they were a halfling. And you know that the alias that they were working with at the time was Trixie Joe. And so at the time that you were hearing about it, she was working for the Food and Beverage Incorporated.
So like, she's not working for the organization that's putting on this exhibition, or is that the name of the organization that's putting on?
So you would know from the past, and I'd say this would probably be a couple of years ago, she was working for Food and Beverage Incorporated, which is actually not the sponsor of this convention. You all would now know that the sponsor of this convention is Consent Creamery.
Right. Okay. I'm going to fill in my my party mates on this information. That may have unearthed a lead, Reine, when it comes to that halfling that bacon salesman was describing to you. We've had problems with someone fitting that description in the past, or lack of description. The only thing consistent is that they are a halfling. So I think we need to be on the lookout for halflings with purple hair who are dressed tastefully.
That's very good, because otherwise there could have also been the possibility that she's just very passionate about bacon.
Are there any purple-haired halflings in the immediate vicinity?
You do actually see someone with purple hair, who is a halfling, sneaking into the kitchens. It's very fast. They walk in confidently as though they're supposed to be there and go through the swinging doors.
Do they have chef's clothes on or something like that?
Yes, they do.
It seems like a vendor might be able to get by there. And Graveyard turns and looks at Carol.
Carol, Cheryl, Cheryl. Is the kitchens the employees only area?
It is not the specific employees only area. It's technically part of the tasting room.
Ah, okay.
Right.
I stroll confidently after her with my pan, like, what's that really famous Harlem Globetrotters basketball team? The pan is doing the basketball spinning on my finger, and it's a cast iron pan. So I'm like, I have to show the kitchens. No, that's the wrong accent. Anyway, yep. Followers, please follow me. And I'm getting you guys in the kitchen with my confidence.
Okay. You're able to stroll in, and you realize probably the reason that this halfling was able to as well is because the kitchens are so busy that no one's actually paying attention to anybody else. There are pots and pans and baking sheets flying everywhere. You have people avoiding others nimbly or trying to have near misses of like food falling or drinks spilling. It is chaos in here.
I start chopping onions and like nobody notices me and I'm totally blending in, and you two take the lead. What are you doing? I'm keeping an eye out for your halfling. I'm near the door. If she tries to come out this way, I got her.
Okay.
Can I put on my new poncho inside out? The original vestments were white. So
Yes.
if I put it on inside out, could I conceivably possibly pose as some kind of culinary person?
Yes, I'd say so. A lot of people are wearing white in here. It's stained white a lot of the time, but that will definitely work.
Okay, I reverse my poncho and I put that on. And because I'm tall, slightly imposing, and more mechanical and upright and clean cut, I'm going to try to look like some kind of judge or evaluator or something like that, so that I don't have to try to prepare food, which I do not do, like, ever.
You don't eat.
No, I do not eat.
Only drink.
Yeah, and that was a new time. That was a first.
Reine, what are you doing?
Are there any like spare aprons lying around somewhere or like hanging somewhere?
No, doesn't look like there are any.
Then I might also make my first declaration now.
Okay.
Where I would like to, as we walked into here, to have basically been asked for help. Just doing like washing the dishes and like cutting very simple things. I mean, she is very good at taking things apart in terms of like what you would if you like gather stuff in the wild and then like take it apart to cook it.
Okay.
Just so like as we walked in, someone was like, "Hey, you have 2 hands and 1 eye. Go."
Butterfly this chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And which trait are you pulling from?
I would like to use my heart trait, which is I love the safety and trust springing from deep bonds created with others. Supporting their endeavors and being supported in turn brings me joy.
Great. Go ahead and pull your card.
I have drawn the Knight of Swords in
Okay.
the correct orientation.
Perfect. So the Knight of Swords. Knight represents impetuousness, movement, and self-discovery. And swords represent air and intellect. So what happens is you change the past, and as soon as you walk in, Cheryl and Graveyard are off doing their own thing. They've been with fire-breathing kittens for a long time. They know the drill. But immediately once you enter, someone sees you just like standing around and says, hey, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Go and help out Martha.
Yes, sir.
And they point you over to the back of the room and they shout, Martha. And you see a purple-haired halfling turn around and say, what? And the other person says, I got you someone to go and clean up after you, so we're good now. And she's like, all right, thanks, man.
Yeah, Reine would hurry to the back and be like, what do I need to do? I'm ready.
I mean, I just messed up some dishes over here. I just need you to go and clean it up. I have to go to the back room and check something out.
How did
And
you mess
she
up some
starts to-
dishes, ma'am? Sorry for the question.
Are you questioning my authority as a chef?
I'm questioning what you mean with mess up, ma'am.
I mean, obviously, I tried to make a dish and it didn't turn out perfectly correctly. So I have to go into the back room and get more ingredients. That's what I mean.
Right, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. I'm right on it, ma'am. Reine would maybe going to the dishes, she would try to take like a route where she would bump into one of the other two. And while passing would be like, she's going to the back room to get ingredients.
Okay. Who would you want to bump into, Cheryl, or would you want Graveyard?
I guess Graveyard is closer because Cheryl is at the door trying to keep her
that's
from running
true.
away.
Yep.
I'm that friendly person who'll put out a foot when the running person is like in front of you and you're like, oh, I wish someone would help me. I'm like, oh, I tripped them. Whoops.
Oopsie.
So Graveyard is observing the area with his hands clasped behind his back, trying to look very critical / authoritative. And although he hears Reine, he wouldn't acknowledge her because that would break character. So he immediately starts to walk towards the back, though. And I'm going to try to see what she's doing back there. But I'm going to be trying to look like I'm just taking inventory, or at least making sure everything is up to standard. So I'm going to have my lens blink almost like I'm taking pictures.
Okay. You can see you're starting to stress out a lot of the other chefs and beverage preparers here because they were not expecting an audience. And so you see like other people like dropping plates or tripping or forgetting ingredients, and they start calling out like, hey, who's the busser over here? And the guy who found you, Reine, is like, hey, lean or clean, get over here. And so you're actually directed, Reine, to helping clean up everybody else's stuff, but that puts you dead center in the middle of the kitchen. But Graveyard Shift, you're able to make your way to the back of the kitchen where all of the ingredients are stocked. It is much quieter back here. There's only 1 or 2 people, including the purple-haired halfling, which you see at the far end of the room. But there are shelves and shelves of ingredients and machinery, basically anything you need to run a huge kitchen that is making anything and everything.
Okay. Where is the alleged Trixie Joe standing, and what is she doing?
So the alleged Trixie Joe is at the far end of the room. It looks like she is perusing not the ingredients or machinery shelves, but trying to look into people's personal bags, like people who haven't actually put their stuff in the employees only area for one reason or another. And there's one other person at the opposite end who doesn't seem to have noticed her, who is trying to pick out ingredients.
Okay, so she's not in cahoots so far. Okay,
Does
so
not
the
appear
people
to be.
Okay. I'm going to just walk up behind her and see if she acknowledges me.
She will turn very slightly and say, what do you want? I'm looking through my bags for something. I already got messed up once.
Excuse me, but I tend to know who works in my kitchen, but I don't know you.
She turns around and narrows her eyes. She does a hair flip and says, well, I know who works in this kitchen, and you certainly don't.
So every peon knows the general personally, yes? Or is this a matter of me not having to be with the foot soldiers mostly? But it turns out I might need to be with you more because I have underlings going through the property of trusted employees. Explain who you are and get back to work. Now.
At this, she stands and you can see her pocket something. So she puts both hands in back pockets and then she takes one hand out and throws something on the ground. There is a puff of dust that surrounds you. And when it clears, she's gone.
Okay. I'm going to... There's only one exit, or is there more than one?
There is more than one. So there's one exit that leads back into the kitchens and then one exit that leads to the loading dock. So outside where deliveries would come.
I'm going to trust Cheryl and Reine. If she leaves out into the kitchen, they'll be able to take care of it. We have no communication devices or means of communication, I don't think. So I'm just going to start going back to the loading docks to see if she ran that way.
Okay. You make your way there, you open the door, and this is a wide open space that kind of borders the coastline. And you can see there's nobody really out here. You see some people lounging around, but it doesn't look like anyone is running anywhere. So while you're outside in the loading dock, we'll switch back to Cheryl and Reine, because Reine, you see appearing in a puff of smoke near a stove so as to make it look like something just burned very briefly and powerfully, kind of like a grease fire or something, appears this halfling woman, and she starts to make her way towards the door that leads back into the tasting room proper.
So towards Cheryl.
Yes.
Oh no, how terrible. I mean, Reine would probably get ready to like go over once the deed is done and maybe see if she can just pick her up depending on what happens. So she would just get ready to like take action.
I am cutting onions on my cast iron pan, which I'm using as a portable pan. And it's kind of above the, it's in the walkway, and I'm cutting onions on this cast iron pan, and it's so convenient. It's in the walkway. I lift the pan and I hold it horizontal and the onions start to fall off. And I'm like, oops, I forgot. The onions are not also portable pans. And I turn rapidly, smacking the halfling in the head with the cast iron pan. Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. And the thing is, Carol, you have quite the audience, because as soon as you started like whipping out the portable pan, people are like, oh my gosh, show me how to use that. Wow, what an invention. And so everybody sees you wham that pan right into this chef's face as she's trying to exit the kitchen. And she is knocked out. No one takes a cast iron pan to the face and gets up afterwards, at least not for a few minutes. And everyone is just like, they turn to you and say, what did you just do?
You'd be like, it's a weapon also.
There's a mix of reactions where it's like, oh, wow, what an accident. And others are like, that did not seem like an accident.
This seems like a great time to make a declaration.
Yeah.
I would like to use my desire to make money. You got to defend your product. If you've got an impending lawsuit on your new product invention,
oh yeah,
it can just tank your whole Shark Tank. So I go back in the past. Theoretically, this is if it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hire a lawyer. I talked to the lawyer about, well, wow, I have a cast iron pan that is as weightless as if it were tumbling through the vacuum of space. What if I fling it into somebody's head? And the lawyer says, I know. Make the cast iron pan come with one healing potion. And then your cast iron pan won't kill someone, because you just need them to, like, right, in D&D terms, be at 1 HP and they won't die. So one free healing, it's sort of like the fire extinguisher in your kitchen. If you don't replenish it, that's your fault. But the first one's on us. And so I show them that in the handle of the portable pan, this is if it works, there's like a little, like an EpiPen, but for not dying. That comes with.
That's brilliant.
So that's what I'm attempting to do. And I'm going to...
Okay, let's see.
All right. I draw a card. It is face up, the 9 of Swords.
Okay. So 9 represents fruition, compromise, and spirituality. And swords represents air and intellect. So that's kind of an interesting card to draw. I think it would definitely succeed in what you want to do. But instead of having like a healing potion or, you know, kind of like an EpiPen, it's kind of like a pocket prayer. And you have to speak it out loud over the person so that they don't die from an accident or something. So it's a little bit more work than intended, but it will still work if you do it correctly.
Okay. Iambic pentameter on the spot, I guess.
I mean, as soon as like the smack happens, which Reine is kind of like waiting for, she would kind of like rush over and be like, oh no, something terrible and extremely unforeseen has happened. I will immediately bring her to the infirmary.
There once was a pan from Nantucket. And the lawyer, I'm really not a spontaneous improv person, but I will try.
Well, to buy you more time, graveyard shift, you know when Aragorn bursts into that hall in Rohan with the 2 double doors? So he bursts out the 2 kitchen doors and, you know, feigning authority again. You know, what is going on in my kitchen? Trying to get people to look at him.
Oh boy, there are definitely a lot of people that look at you. The clatter and chaos comes to a halt. It is dead silent as you whoosh. What is going on in here? And they're all like, I didn't know we had a supervisor, but wow. Now I'm a little intimidated. And one of the chefs just end up kind of peeking out from the stove and says, someone got hit with a pan.
Someone got hit with a pan. What, chef?
Chef.
That's better.
I take out the prayer. There once was a pan from Nantucket. Oh, this is an accent. There once was a pan from Nantucket. The lawyer was worried I'd chuck it. He gave me a spiel so that I could heal. And voila, I did it.
Immediately, the alleged Trixie Joe's eyes open, and you can see that she's definitely at like that 1 HP step where it's like, I'm alive, but I'm really disoriented, and there's probably still brain damage, but you know, I'm alive. So she's just like lying there with her eyes like rapidly blinking. She's not moving.
I'm going to point at Reine and Cheryl. I'm going to say, you, Wonder Pan, you, bus girl, get this person to see a nurse immediately. Everyone else back to work.
Yes, chef. Sorry, chef.
Just resounding like, yes, chef, yes, chef, yes, chef. As everyone just like busily goes back and does a very intense job of not paying attention to what's going on. And so you guys would know that the nurses booth essentially would be back in the foyer because that's where information is and like where you can get like free drinks of water and stuff like that.
As Reine and I lift her one arm each and we guide her to definitely not the foyer. I'm thinking employees only. Hey, Reine?
Oh, there might be a nurse in the employee. The nurses in the foyer are probably busy. Maybe there's one on break who can just quickly, you know, just be like, oh, that's 1 HP, that's fine. And
okay, so you guys make your way to the employees only area, and there is a security volunteer there, and he's holding a clipboard, and he says, "Oh my goodness, what happened? Do they need to see someone?" He says, pointing to the alleged Trixie Joe.
You see, like, and maybe don't, you know, like, let everyone know about this, but one of our kitchen hands had like a little too much basance and, so we were thinking of just letting her rest in a darker and like quieter place for a little bit until she's better again.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, go ahead and take her in. Like, I don't think anyone's in there right now. Really?
Oh, that's very good
Basants?
thing.
I had like 5 of those.
They're amazing, right?
They're so
yeah.
good. But yeah, go on in. And he like checks badges in particular. Is like, okay, yeah, go ahead in.
Then we would
And so
take her in and see what the room is like.
okay. So everywhere else in this convention center is very glitzy and elegant and glamorous. This is a locker room. This is where everybody puts their personal items or their plans and stuff. Like you can see just row upon row of lockers. There are a couple open areas to hold bigger things like, maybe inventions or like machines and stuff like that. But for the most part, it is silent and empty and dimly lit. So you guys are the only ones in there, it seems.
Well, I've never interrogated someone before, so just pretend she owes you money and then I'll just follow your lead.
I think I'm going to just secure her until graveyard shift, the actual trained officer,
That's a good
shows
point.
up. Like, I guess I'll just, what's in a locker room?
A locker?
I put her in a locker and just wait.
Okay.
She's an halfling. Shove her in there.
So, being an like changing the past and being a vendor, you have an assigned locker.
Put her in my locker.
Is
Bullying.
It's relative. I guess it's relatively easy to do. Like these lockers are like, kind of like. Actually, I'm referring from my own like personal middle school experience, but you've got like, like 3-foot lockers, like 2 stacked on top of each other. And so you open up yours, it's at the bottom, it's near the back of the actual employees area, and stuff her in there. And she just kind of like sits with her knees curled up and she is still just like so dazed, no idea what's going on. And then as you close the locker, you hear click, click, click towards the back end of the employees area.
Okay, I lock it because I've got the lock for this vendor locker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she did teleport earlier. I don't want to like reach inside her clothes because that's icky, but like if there's any obvious like teleporting thingy, I want to remove that from her, like just real quick. Like just, I guess I take like her bag. Okay. Yeah, I'm not being gross. I just want to take her ability to teleport out of this locker away from her and then lock her in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. Sounds good. Yeah. You would see a packet sticking out of her back pocket.
Yeah.
And you'll just take that in the bag that she was carrying.
I'll be back. Okay. Okay, I'm waiting for graveyard. I'm sitting outside the locker.
Okay. Is there anything you would have wanted to do graveyard before heading to the employees only area?
Probably not. Nothing else pinged on my radar, right?
Right. So I'll say that you get there in very short order after making sure your kitchen is in tip-top shape. And all 3 of you are joined together in the employees area.
I hand you the locker key. Or like a little piece of paper with 823 on it because it's so secure.
And again...
Oh no, I was just making a note.
Okay. But again, you hear the click, click, click. This time coming a little closer to you. It seemed to have shifted.
Can we kind of pinpoint where exactly it's coming from? Or just like look around if it's one of the inventions maybe?
Yeah, you can definitely look around. The general direction, it doesn't take you very long to see a small, about 2-foot tall warforged that's seems to be like tapping one of the lockers. It's in navy blue with gold speckles. And it just seems to click, click, click. It taps the locker and then just waits there for a minute. And then it moves to the next one. Click, 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 and waits.
Is that little boy, is his metal navy blue or is his clothing navy blue?
His metal is navy blue. He does not wear clothing.
Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my handcuffs and I'm going to cuff Trixie to a table, something that's not very movable, so that she can't get away. Because I think we might be turning our back on her right now.
Okay. I'll say there's like a closed loop in the locker, so you can hang the handcuff onto that and then do the other one on her wrist if you want to keep her in the locker.
Okay. Door stays open. Human rights.
See, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm glad you're here.
And yeah, I'll go check out this little boy.
Yeah. So it really just seems like they're just doing the same pattern over and over again. They'll do top locker, then bottom locker, then move to the right. Top locker, then bottom locker, then move to the right.
Okay. I'm going it do I think it's copywritten. Are Steelborn or automatons, do they speak binary or do they have their own little language?
I would say binary is probably a dialect of Steelborn language.
Okay. I'm gonna like make it kind of clear that I'm in the club, and
Gotcha.
I'm going to speak in binary. Like, what is your purpose?
So specifically speaking in binary, it says, "My purpose is to search.
What are you searching for?
I am searching for plans.
Plans for what?
Plans for a mobile barista.
A mobile barista. Like you?
I am not a mobile barista.
Aw.
No, but is it one of us? Is it a automaton or is it a machine?
It is a machine.
Okay. Who is your operator?
My operator is Volume Kimbo, and you guys can hear not in binary, but in like an actual voice, Volume Kimbo.
Oh, like it's like you are accepting a reverse charges call from John Smith.
Yes, exactly. And so it says of its own accord, it has been a long time since I have met someone else who is Steelborn. I have not spoken in binary in a long time.
Me neither. I'm going to give him my name, Graveyard Shift, but I'm also going to give him my like serial number, which is 0000001.
In return, they say, "My name is Humboldt, model 66784.
Humboldt, would you be able to take us to your operator?
I cannot leave the employees only area until I have retrieved my plans."
Acknowledged. Stand by. Does he stop tapping?
Yes. He seems
Okay.
to be awaiting further, not orders necessarily, but confirmation that they can continue.
Fantastic. Okay. I think maybe we should interrogate the flesh and blood person before we go after this Volume Kimbo individual. No confirmation. I don't think that we know that he might be a problem. He might literally just be a dude. So how is Trixie doing? Is Trixie conscious?
She's conscious. She's stopped blinking rapidly, but she hasn't quite gotten to speaking yet.
Okay. Is she in the top locker or the bottom locker?
Bottom locker.
Okay. So Graveyard Shift is going to kind of squat down with his forearms on his knees, kind of like L from Death Note. And he's going to kind of cock his head and he's going to say hello.
And this is to the alleged Trixie Joe.
Yes.
It takes a moment for her eyes to focus, but eventually she does, and she says, "Hi."
Would I be correct in addressing you as Miss Joe or Trixie or anything of that like?
No, my name's Tamara.
Okay, Tamara. Now, You ran from me. Why did you do that?
I don't remember you.
I'm going to flip my poncho back inside out to the white poncho.
And then you see a flash of slow recognition as she says, "Oh no."
I'm just glad I didn't smack her back to her like childhood.
Yeah. So, why are you here? It's not to cook. I know that. I might know more than you think. So, try to be truthful, because if I find that you're lying to me, things are going to be very uncomfortable. More uncomfortable than being handcuffed by one hand to a locker with the door open. Understand, things can get a lot worse.
And she kind of like tries to spit at you, but it just comes as like a dribble. She doesn't quite, yeah, exactly, master the motor motion. And she's just like, what are you gonna do? Close the door? That's a human rights violation. I will have you reported.
Quite. Thing is, though, I'm not a human. Here, take a look at this. And I'm going to bring up on my forearm kind of some sensors and stuff. One says empathy, and it's currently switched to on. So as much as I have qualms of violating certain things, I can operate this switch right here, and I have no qualms about that. And then when that's off, I have no reservations.
She can tell you're not bluffing. And she says, I would never betray my very well-paying employer to someone like you. Someone who chains someone up in a locker and leaves the door open after hitting them with a pan.
We can do it again.
Technically, you ran into my pen. I will be suing you for damages to my pen.
So what I'm hearing is that a paycheck that you have not received yet is more important to you than the immediate threat to you in front of your face. I know you're a smart person. You're smart enough to infiltrate a corporation, possibly two corporations at that. I know you're smart enough to figure out that this is more important than a paycheck that hasn't happened yet, and that you probably won't be getting, considering you're here with me now.
It's not just about the paycheck. You don't know the kinds of people I work for. They're vicious, brutal. They would do things to me that you would never dream of, even with your empathy turned off. It's better to have been, I don't know, chained up here and tortured by you than it would have been to actually have to report back to my superiors about this.
Okay, we'll keep you safe then, and I'll just close the door.
As you close the door, she's just like, wait, that's not.
And then I'll just kind of make a motion to where lips would be on my face, just with an index finger, like a shushing motion. And then we'll go back to Humboldt, I guess. We'll let her sweat it out. Maybe she's claustrophobic, maybe she's not, but I don't think might not be going anywhere. Can we lock that locker?
Oh, yeah, I handed you the whatever that passcode was. Yeah, I assume it's a touchpad one.
Okay, I have the combo, so we'll be good to go with that. So she's in there in her cell. She's a halfling, so I'm not sure if I'm breaching protocol right now because she might be able to fit. We'll see. And I guess we'll go to Humboldt.
Okay. You can see Humboldt now while you were interrogating Trixie Joe, aka Tamara. Humboldt had gone and opened a locker and grabbed some papers, and you can see they're starting to walk back out of the room as you approach them.
Sorry, I was taking down some notes. What was Humboldt doing? He's leaving. I know that.
So it seems like they had found what they were looking for and is holding a roll of papers and is starting to walk out, is making their way back to the employees only entrance.
Humboldt,
They don't respond. They just keep walking.
I mean, he's not running. We could just walk up and look at what he has.
He might lead us right back to the...
Yeah.
I hold the frying pan suggestively.
I think it might be smarter to just maybe follow him, and he might just bring us exactly where this Kimbo person is.
Reine, I think you might be onto something. But I like where your head's at, Carol.
Backup pen.
Backup pan.
So just so you know, Cheryl, you've already used the pocket prayer. If you knock someone out again with the same pan, you can't do it again. It's already used.
Yep, I know.
Okay. So are you trying to stealthily follow Humboldt out of here? Or are you trying to talk with them?
I think we're going to try to be stealthy, right?
I would agree. The question is if it wouldn't be more normal if we just walked normally.
Well, I don't mean like we're going to be like sneaking and hiding under tables and stuff. I just mean we're following him without trying to make our presence known.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Have you ever flicked something in space? Of course you have. All of us have been to space. And the way it like keeps going and like slightly rotating, what if that thing were a cast iron pan and you were like, oh no, I have to chase it? That is the routine that I do to rapidly move through the convention hall to catch up to Humboldt and follow them without anyone thinking that I shouldn't be there.
I can't imagine that pan not hitting somebody.
It's like at the 10-foot high level, horizontal, parallel to the ground. And I'm like, whoops.
Oh, I'll help throw it then. I'm tall enough to make it go 10 feet or to throw it from 10 feet up.
All right. Yeah. And we just go in the direction of Humboldt. And if at any point it starts to get off course, I'll catch it, you know, and walk normally for a little bit. And then whoops. And if we need to. Anyway, so that's the plan. That's the pan.
Guiding pan.
Oh my gosh. So you guys begin to follow Humboldt with your floating pan idea, and it catches a lot of attention from people. You're running through trying to be like, oh no, my pan, it's getting away. And people are just like, oh, a floating pan? How did that get there? To the point where Humboldt turns around and notices you three and starts to run. And you guys have made it to the exhibition hall at this point. Humboldt is very small, and so they're running through people's legs and weaving around other people very nimbly. It's almost like they were made for this.
Maybe you guys should do some declaring or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I would do it.
If I were high up, could I spot like wherever he like comes out? Like are the exits like less crowded?
No, I'd say there's a lot of, maybe at the edges, it would be less crowded. So if you were to look, you'd be able to get a wider view of the edges, but this room is rather large.
Because Reine is a druid in another system. So I would maybe like make a declaration and try to turn into maybe like a small bird.
Yeah, definitely you can do that. And which trait would you be pulling from?
Probably blood, because he did just steal the plans from another person. Like, first of all, this guy's being used in a very mean way. Like, at least that's what I assume. And the person who's like making him do all this stuff is like being extremely selfish by making him like steal these plans and then like stealing them from another person. So there's like a lot of people that are being hurt in all of this. So I would use my blood trait that says, I hate fathomless greed that seeks to pluck apart people's lives in the most selfish of ways.
Yeah, that sounds like a on-point motivation. Draw your card.
I have drawn the chariot right side up.
Ah. Okay, so the Chariot is a major arcana card. So far, we've pulled only minor arcana, which tend to have smaller ranging effects and affect, just immediate one event actions. Major arcana affect the world at large more significantly. So pulling the chariot for this transformation, the chariot represents victory, assertion, and momentum. So you have successfully transformed into a bird, and you fly up through the rafters, through the gossamer ribbons and cloths, and you can immediately pinpoint with your very keen bird eyes the gold speckled navy steelborn. And you catch it going to the speaker's room at the very back. But you don't entirely know what other consequences this declaration has had.
Okay. I would, considering him up in the air, I would like maybe try and like fly up to the pan and kind of like kick it in the direction of the speaker's room as like a little hint.
I love it.
And then like fly over.
Very smart. Okay. So with the three of you heading to the speaker's room, we'll pause for a break here. Today, we were joined by Reine.
Cheap right now, I guess.
Graveyard Shift.
Hello.
And Cheryl.
Goodbye. And we have a review, because if you leave us a review on iTunes, we'll read it on air. Does anybody have a review?
I have a review right here.
Yay.
5 kobolds in a trench coat say, silly at times, serious at times, and always touching and enjoyable. It's the game the rest of us would wish we were in. Thanks.
Aww. Goodbye.
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 Today's mid-episode shoutout is from Rage242, who says, quote, "From the warped mind who brought you Zombies Don't Surf and the rest of the Guardians of the Apocalypse saga comes a twisted tale of blood and death and magic in a mythical place called the City. Think the Dresden Files meets Sin City while hanging out with the Warriors in 1947. Then crank it up to 11 and hang on for the ride." End quote. You can arrange for us to read your shoutout at firebreathingkittenspodcast.com. Or you can buy our books on Amazon or audiobooks on Audible. If not any of those, then you can still tell someone about us. We don't pay to advertise our show, so the only way we can grow is if you think of someone you know, an episode that would make them smile, and tell them about it. They won't hear about it from anyone else but you, probably. Thank you.
And welcome back. We have come back from our break. Who would like to do a review of what happened in the first half? No takers. All right. Graveyard. Let's go.
Okie doke. So, we started by getting on being drunk, and then getting on a train to Vanilla. And we found out that there was possible corporate espionage for Hestia's Bestias and Moon Dollar, respectively. Upon entering the not festival grounds, convention grounds, we determined that there were several locations that we could search. We decided on the tasting room first. After finding a new bacon and croissant hybrid that was probably delicious, we noticed some hinky things happening in the kitchens. Proceeding to the kitchens, we saw a pink-haired halfling who fits the description that I had in my briefing. I used a fate card for our system this week, and we decided to pursue. Some hijinks and a pan to the head later, we had a captive. We then went to the locker room and secured our captive inside of a locker a la high school. And then we found a small steelborn looking for a portable espresso machine. When he left, he did not leave with a portable espresso machine. He had some papers. So we are currently following him through the convention grounds, and that's where we left off. Yes? Am I missing anything?
No, that sounds about right. So Reine had transformed into a bird and located the Steelborn, running towards the speaker's room, more closer to the back of the exhibition hall, and had pushed the floating pan that you were using as a distraction in that direction, now using it as a signal. So all of you make your way to the speaker's room, and you can see that this is a very large room. It accommodates about 200 people, and you can see that chairs are evenly spaced in rows in order to view a raised dais with a podium at the front. And you can see currently going on is a talk by two gnomes. They look like they could be siblings. And the room is about half full, and you can hear just like, even though it's half full, there's a heavy air of kind of like secondhand embarrassment, because the gnomes are trying to, they're basically like their invention, which looks like a box on wheels simply, is malfunctioning. You see brown liquid leaking from it. There are like a couple of sparks going out. And one of the gnomes is just like, it's okay. This is obviously not meant to happen, but I swear it worked in the prototype. Let's just, so, I mean, like, when it's working well, the mobile barista is incredibly good at making frappuccinos. And there's just a lot of like this panicked, like damage control and trying to fix this so that their talk isn't ruined.
Could these guys possibly be Tinkatop from the letter?
The keg. Yeah, the keg tinkers. Possibly.
Tipsy and
Probably
tapsy.
likely. Mm-hmm.
I feel really bad for them. Can I like change fate?
Yes. Go for it.
I feel like Reine would try to help them if she already has this power.
Mm-hmm. So which trait are you using for this?
Probably heart again.
Makes sense.
Because if she was in this situation, she would probably not want that to happen. And she would like to support their endeavors, and maybe they will help her later on.
Okay. So go ahead and pull your card.
I've drawn a hermit upside down.
Hermit upside down. So that's another major arcana card, which will affect the world at large. What exactly are you trying to do? Like, how do you want to help them?
I would like to also help the robot by not having him steal. So maybe I would just try and change the past in a way that they had the plans with them, and they like took a closer look at the plans, and then maybe they noticed that something was not really like fitting, and then maybe the debacle doesn't happen, and they would also have the plans so the robot wouldn't have to steal it because someone is being a meanie.
Okay. So with the drawing of that card, and you felt this earlier when you turned into a bird, Reine, there was a poof, poof, a pulse in your chest. And you feel that again here, and nothing in the room visibly changes. But you know, and all three of you have this new memory that you found Humboldt in the employees only area, but you never followed Humboldt out because they never left, because they had not found the plans. And so Humboldt is no longer in the speaker's room where you had followed them in. And you can see now one of the people presenting kind of like taps the other one and says, "Tapsy, go and get the plans." And Tapsy's like, oh, right. And they go over to a folder that's sitting on the stage and bring out the plans, and they unfurl it. And they do a little bit of examining and say, "Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's go and do this." And they work together to go and fix the prototype. So the hermit represents self-reflection and solitude. And so reversed, I'm interpreting that as this is a group effort, especially since it's helped by Reine, who is trying to build a bit of a community and an allyship. And so they will not only work together to fix this, but there's a general air of congeniality. Like, people are no longer embarrassed for them. They're like, oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad they could do something about this. The only thing, or the only person that doesn't seem to be happy about this, is a green dragonkin who's sitting kind of off to the side. And they've got their arms crossed and their legs crossed and their brow drawn. They definitely look frustrated and disappointed now that it's fixed.
Okay.
For the players out of character, I just want to remind you guys that in the very beginning, there were at least 2 corporate spies, and one was targeting the Hestia's Bestias, Alana Divigno's Sour Cream and Onion, etc. And that is probably Trixie Joe / Martha / Tamara. And the other is the Tipsy and Tapsy, the Keg Tinker Moon Dollars. And that is the Humboldt targeting. So we've connected all the loose ends. The only thing we don't have is that Consent Creamery is responsible for these corporate spies. Also, we should let Trixie out eventually.
No.
Yes, eventually.
Yeah. So our quest went from searching for spies to like the bigger picture, because we've found at least 2, right? Spies and their targets.
I'm wondering if if Humboldt. Oh yeah, because his controller was not. I was thinking because they're gnomes. I just might be stereotypical, but they're artificers. So I was like, oh, Humboldt is obviously theirs, but they don't have the same name as his controller. I want to make a declaration.
Okay. What would you like to do?
I would like to change the past to see if I've had a run-in with Volume Kimbo before.
Okay, and which trait does this stem from?
I think it would be Heart. Heart's the first one, the I Love one, right? Mm-hmm. So it would be Heart, because I love working for the Night Watch. So if I had a run-in with him and he's a spy and a ne'er-do-well, chances are that I would have run into him in a uniform capacity.
Okay, go ahead and pull your card.
Right side up, I have the King of Pentacles.
Okay, interesting. So King represents leader, protector, and authority. And then Pentacles represents earth, money, and achievements. So you have indeed run into Volume Kimbo before. You know that he is a green-skinned dragonkin, and that he actually used to work in the Night Watch until maybe a year or 2 ago, when he, without warning, resigned and left Jishop entirely. You guys weren't really in the same squads most of the time. You'd meet at Night Watch events or team meetings, but most of the time you didn't work together. But you knew of him.
Okay. All right. So I can positively identify him in the room.
Yes, you can. And he's dressed very smartly. Button-up long-sleeve shirt with a blazer and slacks. And definitely dresses nicer and more neatly than he did in the Night Watch. He had a reputation for not having very crisp uniforms or for letting it get wrinkled. So this is definitely an interesting change.
Okay. Does he see me?
He does not see you. His attention is focused on the presentation occurring.
Right. I'm going to elbow my 2 cohorts and say, I know that guy. That's Volume Kimbo. I don't know why I didn't bring it up before, but I guess we never talked to him, to Humboldt, so I guess we didn't know his controller. But I know him, and he looks angry that the Moon Dollar Boys are not going to flub this.
I mean, maybe he's also angry that the plans aren't in the locker room. That they're not in a place where they're easy to steal.
True.
I have an idea.
I want to do another declaration just because I want to burn through some of these cards.
Okay, before you do that, I think Carol wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Well, if you had a better idea, I would want to go with that, but I did have an idea.
Okay, I want to hear yours.
My desire is I want enough money to never have to be dependent on someone else again. People suck. They never actually look at you and see you. All it takes is a change in uniform and they gloss right over who you are. Well, that's their own fault. So out of a deep desire to retire, because I want enough money to not have to do my actual job, which is not to sell frying pans ever again, I would maybe have considered high-risk investments, such as the poker table. It's possible that Vloom Kimbo and I have met in a poker table before, and either I am in great debt to him or he is in great debt to me. And I was just going to wedge that relationship into an interaction with them. But I want to hear your idea too.
I was thinking he's well-dressed. He can afford automatons to work for him or be built for him. And he's angry with competition with Moondollar. I was going to try to see, we can do a simultaneous declaration. I think that's allowed. I want to see if he dropped out, what company he now works for.
Okay.
I mean, the locker person, Trixie, she did say that she's like employed by a very well-paying employer. So I guess it would be a good idea to like get to that employer, because like everything kind of points to the fact that this guy is also employed by this person who obviously has a lot of money and pays well.
Mm-hmm, true.
So you two may make simultaneous declarations. Whoever would like to go first would draw first, and then the next person would. And the cards would work together to alter fate in the way both of you would like. So if you would like to do that, you may. It could also introduce different... Actually, no. Why warn you? Let's have fun with it.
I think because Carol spoke first, she should be allowed to draw first.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I draw a card, and it is the face down 6 of swords.
Okay. And Graveyard, what did you draw?
Right side up, strength.
Ooh. Okay. So the 6 represents growth, communication, and problem solving. And swords represent air and intellect. And then strength represents courage and self-discipline. This is an interesting mix.
And mine's upside down.
Yeah, that's true. So the reverse of that, that's interesting. Okay, so here is what happens. Cheryl, you do indeed get a new memory. Way back when you had a bit of a poker stint before you joined the Fire-Breathing Kittens, you were around the Jishop area, and you found a poker table, and you were on a really hot streak. Unfortunately, that streak came to an end when you played at a table with Vloom Kimbo. And because of that, you are in debt to him. That is part of, that's part of what you have to consider for the gold that you have earned so far with the Fire-Breathing Kittens. But you know that if he were to see you, last time you saw him, you said you'd pay him back, and then you left Jishop. So there is that. But strength, courage, and self-discipline, I would say, okay, Graveyard, specifically remind me what it is you wanted to do to assist for this.
I just wanted to know that I wanted to see if I had done any digging into his sudden disappearance, or if the watch had, to figure out where he is now.
That's right. Okay, we're going to pull on the courageous aspect of the strength card. It was strange the way Vloom Kimbo had left, and most other people in the Night Watch weren't keen on figuring out why, but you knew that Kimbo was a bit of a gambler. So perhaps he left because he had racked up some major debt in the city. After digging in, you discovered through numerous adventures into gambling dens and mafias of Jishop that he had actually been recruited by a big corporation, no one would say what, to be supposedly for a better job, a more well-paying one, with a little bit more risk, but nothing he wasn't willing to handle. Strangely enough, no one was brave enough to tell you the name of that company. It seems like they had been paid or threatened in order to keep that particular information secret.
Okay. Alrighty. Good to know. So what we know now is Carol owes him money, a lot of money. And he works for a organization that is able to shut people up. And people are afraid of them.
That sounds about right.
All right. We can't prove that he's done anything illegal right now. In fact, he's failed in doing something illegal.
I walk into the room, I see the green dragonborn, my eyes widen, and I kind of like back up a little bit. And I kind of hide behind, I guess both of you are pretty tall. And I'm like, oh, look, my two friends are in front of me. Ha ha ha, can I leave the room?
Cheryl, you look uncomfortable. Is there a problem?
No, but, perhaps we go into another room.
The problem is that I think I know him. I know him, and I think he might be behind some of the spying happening and possible sabotage as well. I don't have any proof. I just have a feeling. And his body language seems to tell us that he's quite angry with the fact that these Moon Dollar boys are able to salvage their presentation just now.
So, you're not in debt to someone if they're dead.
That is a true statement.
Would you like for me to lure them out to the loading docks with you? Or to the locker room?
Yes. The locker room would be convenient, because then we can have a dual interrogation.
Would he fit in one of the lockers, though?
Yeah, he's a pretty tall guy.
Yeah, we might not need to put him in a locker, but we'll be able to figure it out from there.
I flip a gold coin into the air. That didn't translate to the podcast. It was a flipping motion. And I'm hoping that and I look confident, and I'm hoping that the sparkle will catch Vloom's attention.
Oh, it's not the sparkle. It's the sound of the coin being flipped. That ting. And immediately you see his ears perk up and he turns towards you. His eyes lock on you, Cheryl. And he says, well. If it isn't my dear friend, Patricia.
Hey, Kimbo, it's Patricia. I have the money for you. Come get it. I made all this money selling these frying pans.
I
Reine's
haven't
confused.
seen you. He kind of sits back and is like, I haven't seen you in a couple of years now. You just up and left me when we had a debt to settle. How can I trust you?
I take out the 15,000 gold because I didn't give you guys your cuts. And I like jiggle the bag. It's hefty.
He immediately stands up. He looks back towards the stage and then just shakes his head. He pulls out a sending stone and whispers into it real quick, then puts it back into his pocket and says, all right, you've got my attention.
Meet me in the employees only area in 5 minutes.
All right.
Bye. And I leave.
Okay. Yeah, he kind of like stands around a little bit, again, looks back towards the presentation going on, finishing up rather successfully, and then just and heads towards the employees only area.
Got him for you, graveyard.
Okay, I'm in there as well. I guess I would have gone to the employees area to wait for him.
Okay. So he enters and the security volunteer at the employee's door is like, hey, wait a second. This is employees only. And Vloom Kimbo flashes a badge and is like, I'm allowed back here. The volunteer takes a look. Oh, okay. Yeah, go right ahead, sir. And Vloom Kimbo enters and you can see him at the front looking around trying to find you, Cheryl.
What an idiot.
I'd like to be able to be hidden or just standing off to the side so that I can get between him and the door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to step and I'm going to say, hello, Vloom.
Valoom immediately spins around because they had been distracted by the thought of copious amounts of gold. And he takes a step back and looks up at you. Graveyard, is that you?
Quite the same. I have a question for you. Things, as you know, aren't always fantastic at the Watch. And you know that as someone who doesn't sleep, I work a lot. I think it's time I got mine. You left and got yours quite clearly. I see that you're dressed quite well. You seem to be doing quite well for yourself. I was wondering if I could get a piece of that pie.
He definitely side-eyes you and like motions towards your arm. Show me your empathy button. Is it turned on?
If we're going to have this conversation, it can be off. And I'll put my finger on it. Are we having this conversation?
We're having this conversation. You can see the smug smirk come on his face. He is pleasantly surprised.
So I'll flip it off.
Okay. He says, so, I never expected you to want to turn to the dark side. Thought for sure your creators would have programmed that out of you.
I was programmed with free will, first and foremost. The importance of making the right choice is that you have the capacity to make the wrong one and you choose the right one anyway.
Yeah, I tried that with a couple of other automatons. Didn't quite work out. But I think I got a good model now. Does what I want.
Yeah, I met him. He's great. I like him. I think he's cool.
Oh, you met Humboldt, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that you two get along. And Valoom Kimbo kind of like looks around as though looking for Humboldt and then turns back to you and says, all right, so you want to know how I got the money to get these clothes, huh? Or maybe this extra special backstage pass. And he like waves the convention pass as though it's something like super cool and valuable.
Meanwhile,
Yes.
we control time.
Yeah, tell me more.
So once I tell you this information, you're going to have to follow through. Don't tell me how I know that, but there's something that happens. You'll know. You have to follow through. So are you really ready for this?
Of course.
He leans in real close and says, Consent Creamery has a very lucrative payment plan for anyone who's willing to go and do a little bit of espionage is a term we try not to use, but that's basically what it is. You and I were in the force. We know how things go. But they run a good gig. You know, they don't overwork us. They don't put us into anything too threatening. It's more just going to companies and conventions like this and seeing what different interesting finds we can bring back to the company. Make sure patents aren't being infringed on, ideas aren't being stolen from us, that we have original copyright of particular ingredients or recipes or inventions. Easy work for really good pay.
This sounds exactly like what I'm looking for. Who do I get in contact with? Is it you? Or is there someone that I should be talking to join you?
Nah. You can talk to Dr. Laurel Ravenwood. You can find her in the exhibition hall. Elderly, middle-aged halfling, about 100 years old. She looks like a walking sweet. But she's a connoisseur of unorthodox treats. That's what she moonlights as anyway at these sorts of things. And then as you're talking, Graveyard, you feel kind of this magical aura settle about you, as though the first part of a contract has been made. There's a sense of foreboding now that you know who Valoom Kimbo works for and what he does, where you have to go and follow through with seeking this person out and trying to join Consent Creamery's information arm.
Okay. Can't stop that right now. It's just to join the information arm, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, should I make a declaration or should I say that I was recording this conversation? I'm a robot. I think I could just parrot stuff back.
Yeah, I'd say you'd be able to.
Okay.
You might have a protocol, kind of like a speech recognition system. I mean, you kind of have to recognize speech, so you probably have one of those.
Yeah, I can make certain noises that aren't just speech too. Okay. Take me to the good doctor then.
Okay.
Which leaves the employees' room with just our unguarded, totally by his lonesome Vloom Kimbo.
So, do you want him to bring you to Dr. Laurel Ravenwood, or do you want to leave him in the employees only area?
Vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Alone.
see the doctor by myself.
Okay.
I would follow as a bird.
Sounds good. So, Vloon Kimbo kind of like is surprised by this fluttering sound of a bird behind him as it follows Graveyard out of the employee room, leaving him there alone. And Carol, you can see from wherever you're standing or hiding that he just kind of like goes around and starts pacing the locker rooms, and you can hear him mutter, this automaton, I thought for sure I'd be able to get it. I can't believe I didn't think about them having the plans up on the stage.
We should maybe not leave him in the locker room with his co-spy. She'll probably maybe like recognize his voice and then be like, hey, get me out of here.
Wait, who's doing what?
Trixie is in
No, he doesn't know the
the
combination.
locker.
Right,
But-
yeah.
So
He
right
doesn't
now
have
she
enough
hasn't said
chance-
a word.
No, yeah, he doesn't have enough chance to really say much of anything. Because it's just going to like fade to black as I hit him on the back of the head with a frying pan.
Perfect.
Yeah.
No pocket prayer this time.
Okay. So I imagine, Cheryl, you'd then follow Graveyard and Reine out rather quickly after that.
Well, it's going to be like a 15-minute delay for some reason. Yep. Something
Okay.
happened in the locker room. So we just won't talk about it and move on.
Okay, sounds good. So Graveyard and Reine, you make your way to the exhibition hall, and it is packed with people. You have a vague description of this Dr. Laurel Ravenwood, but given how many bodies there are in here, who knows if you'll find her.
We know that she is an elderly halfling who sells weird and assorted sweets. Is there any signage, or is there any kind of structure to this hall that might pertain to sweet things and dessert items?
Yeah, so the hall is organized in such a way where you have savory at one end and then sweet at the other. And it's like a spectrum. And all of the booths are lined up according to where they would be in the spectrum. So at the very far end, you see a large, big sign for Hestia's Bestias.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Rain might
at
be
the
distracted.
and then at the complete other end, you see stalls for like licorice, tamarind candies, chocolates, all sorts of sweet stuff.
Okay. I'm going to obviously head towards that side with the sweet stuff. And the fact that she's dressed like a candy or looks like a candy kind of tips me off that she might be quite far to the sweet side.
Yeah. So you definitely make your way to the sweets. There are still a lot of people around here, but you see a couple of halflings that could fit the description of looks like a sweet. You know, kind of just like, I don't know, kind of just like looks like old and grandmotherly with like pudgy cheeks because they like make fudge or something. Or you see someone who like their skin is like, maybe it looks like a deep, rich fudge brown, or like someone else has like marshmallow hair or something like that. Apparently
Okay.
there is a theme around here.
Can I do a declaration to see if somebody has a medical emergency and a doctor needs to attend to them?
Uh-oh. Not everybody's that kind of doctor.
You may.
We have gone in the evil spectrum real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That empathy is still turned off. Yes, which trait are you pulling from?
I guess it would be under I love helping people. Or above all I want. No, it's the heart one. So helping people.
I'm going to cause a heart attack to help people. Yes.
You need that switch back
But I'm
on.
going to make sure there's a doctor there too.
That is true. That's absolutely true. Go ahead and pull.
I got death.
Oof.
Reversed though.
Reversed. Okay. So death represents endings and beginnings. So, oh boy. So there are definitely going to be consequences for this that you don't know or don't understand yet. But what does happen is as soon as you pull on that string of fate, you feel the boom, boom in your chest, that same pulse that Reine had felt earlier. And immediately there is a cry that comes up from the suites area. And someone says, "Oh my goodness, help us, help us. Someone's having a heart attack. They had too much caramel."
Licorice.
And so, licorice, yeah. That's true. Retcon. They had too much licorice. And so people immediately like clear an area. There's someone like, someone go and get the nurse. Get the emergency people. Someone go and find an AED. And there are two people that end up rushing forward. They are both women. And one of them is a halfling who looks to be middle-aged and has honey brown eyes and skin the color of a perfectly toasted marshmallow. And her hair is black and gray like cookies and cream. And then the other one is an elf, a dark elf, who has long white hair and is wearing they're both wearing very nice pantsuits, but they seem to rush over together as though they had been talking. And it's the elf who bends down and starts like, checking them out and making sure that they're doing okay. It seems like they're more of the medical person.
I'm going to rush over as well. And I'm going to, act like I'm creating a perimeter while I am creating a perimeter. And I'm going to kneel down and say, "Are either of you doctors?"
Okay. Before we do that, Reine, is there anything you're doing right now? Are you accompanying Graveyard?
I would have probably checked at a different angle. Maybe she's trying to also like get her hands on some valuable research. So I probably would have like tried to look for some exhibits that maybe like got more attention or that were like more extraordinary to see if maybe like she could be there.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So if Reine were trying to find a different angle and get a bit more information, what ends up happening is that you actually see the halfling and the elf talking together by a licorice booth, the same licorice booth where the heart attack happened. And so you immediately see them rush into action. But because you are watching them instead of the accident occurring, you can see that the halfling very quickly before moving towards the victim grabs something from off of the counter of the licorice booth and puts it in her pantsuit pocket. Okay. And so Graveyard, you have created a perimeter around here. And the elf is like, "Okay, it's okay. They're breathing, they're stable, but we just need to make sure that they get medical attention right away. Where is that nurse? I thought they were in the information booth." And so the halfling next to them says, "Oh, well, you know what? Let me go and run over there and get them, since apparently no one here is going to the nurses." And she immediately starts to make her way towards the foyer.
Reine would follow her.
Graveyard is going to approach the halfling and say, Are you a doctor? Can I help you in any way?
Okay. So, Reine, you're probably... Would you say you're looking from a distance, or you try to approach her quickly?
I would probably still be like somewhere above.
Okay. So you see Graveyard approach, and in response to you, Graveyard, the halfling woman says, honestly, I think keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an excellent job of making sure nobody's crowding the poor victim. I'm just going to run over to information and get some medical help. Not to worry. And she starts walking again.
Yeah. I, being originally a cleric, am going to try to use my innate healing abilities to try to bring this person to a conscious state where they're okay. I would like to make a declaration, and that would be, I love helping people.
Perfect. Go ahead and draw your card.
You're very much the murder nurse. You like bring someone to within an inch of death so that you can save them.
Angel of Death. I got the 4 of Pentacles right side up.
Okay. Oh, great. So 4 represents structure, stability, and rest. And Pentacles represents earth, money, and achievements. So you draw upon your healing magic and you're able to stabilize them. They are at rest. They are firmly not on death's door anymore, but they are still unconscious. While you have gone and done that, Reine, you would notice that the halfling woman has continued to walk towards information and the foyer, despite the victim having been treated. Is there anything you would like to do?
Can I make a declaration to have
Yes.
her end up between some security volunteers? Like they're just on break in the foyer. They're having some coffee. And she's just kind of like passing by.
Okay. So what is the goal of this?
I would like to get them to kind of like check out what she has in her back pocket. Like I would maybe like try and turn back and then sort of like have some official security people maybe also kind of like step in. It might not work because she's like the boss of this place, but at that point I probably wouldn't have thought about that.
Fair enough. And which trait is this stemming from?
Probably blood.
Blood?
Because she did steal someone else's stuff if it turns out to be true.
Okay. Go ahead and draw your card.
It is a right side up Hierophant.
Oh my goodness, you and the Major Arcana.
Yeah, I swear I shuffled the cards like 4 times.
No, I mean, it happens. It happens. So the Hierophant represents religion or group identity. This is going to be interesting because, Reine, as a player, you're correct. She's part of the group that runs this thing. So you would see through the glass windows, thankfully not running into them, you would see...
As a bird? Is that a bird joke?
Yes. Thankfully a bird with a human's intelligence. Or, humanoid's intelligence, I should say. But, so you would see Dr. Laurel Ravenwood walk through the door into the foyer and talk very briefly with the person at information. And you can see that there are already 2 or 3 medical personnel that are rushing through and into the exhibition hall. And as she is walking to exit the foyer and exit the convention center, there are 2 security volunteers that come up and start talking to her. You don't entirely know what's going on, but at some points, she takes out what she had put in her pocket, gives it to them, talks to them for a couple more minutes, and then leaves the convention center. You're not entirely sure what else this card has necessarily done in terms of consequences, but you do know that she was stopped and that whatever she had taken was given to the security volunteers.
Should I try and stop her from leaving? The thing is, I guess there's only so much we can do, though I guess we could literally just rebend fate.
Listeners should know that during the interim, the GM was like, break the game.
Need more craziness and chaos. I mean, like, just think about it, right? You can literally bend fate. You can change the past and the present and the future. What would you do in this situation to get what you want? Now, that's not, that is me as the fate weaver.
I would like to declare a thing.
Cheryl?
You all thought I killed Valoom. Where did my notes go? Kimbo. I didn't kill Valoom Kimbo. I'm declaring that. So, do you know how sometimes you forget people that you knew a really long time ago? And just as I was hitting him in the back of the head and about to kill him, he was like, no, Mom, Serafina. And I was like, Serafina. And then he was like, Mom, I'm sorry. I guess when I was very scared about to die, I called out my mom's name, Mommy, and I was like, Serafina, that's my second uncle's niece's neighbor's name. And I realized that we were childhood friends. And I think back to the baby photos that we shared together. And I'm like, no way. And he's like, no way. And of course I can't kill him. And of course he can't hold debt over family. Over family, money's money. So my declaration is that we're tight buddies and that his loyalty to his mom is more loyal than to the corporation that he works for. And then I can get him to double cross the double crossers. And also I show that this is a lucrative business too. So he doesn't need to be, he started out as a cop. He probably doesn't want to be a corporate espionage person.
That's probably right.
You can make more money in this. And I just give him the 15,000 gold. And
oh my goodness. So what trait is this declaration coming from?
I love. So true facts about Cheryl. I love the dog. It was a big, dumb golden Labrador retriever that slobbered way too much and didn't have a thought in its head other than that it loved you. Also, it ate inanimate objects such as the stuffing in chairs only to vomit them up later. And it's Valoom Kimbo who reminds me, do you still have Bud? And I look sad because I don't still have Bud. But he knew Bud. We both knew Bud. Bud would occasionally eat like the back seat of a car. And then we would be like, no, Bud. And we would take him to the lawn of someone we didn't like and he would vomit on their lawn. Bud was the best. And so it's out of this love, mostly for Bud and in a side direction, Serafina and Vloom, that I draw this card.
That's wild. Yes. Do it.
All right. I drew this upside down card. It is the upside down judgment card.
Wow. Yeah. No, Major Arcana is definitely something you wanted to do to make a change that drastic. So how interesting. So judgment represents inner calling and decisions. So there is, again, that pulse in your chest, boom, boom. And all of these childhood memories come flooding back. And you remember, like ding dong ditching people or like helping out around the houses together of your, families and just hanging out with Bud. First and foremost, like you loved your dog Bud so much that when you had another golden Labrador retriever, you also named him Bud back in your early life or in your adult life.
I know Bud was real old.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Same Bud.
Same Bud. Bud is just like really old, magically enhanced golden Labrador retriever.
If there's magic, our dogs don't have to die anymore, okay?
That's fair. That's canon. But all these feelings come flooding back and you are just left feeling like, I don't know what I've done with my life. There have been so many decisions made and I just wish, you wish you could recapture some of that childhood that you had with Valoom Kimbo as like cousins however many times removed. And so the result of that card is that your actual past and some parts of your journey as a person has changed. The consequences of that you do not know. But at this moment, you and Valoom Kimbo are having a very vulnerable and heartfelt reunion in the employees only locker room.
And then Bloom says something like, where Laurel Ravenwood would go?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Valoom is just being like, I don't know where I went wrong with my life. I don't know. But I don't want to be here anymore. I do know that. Meeting you here under these circumstances, and I'm done. I'm done with this. I don't care what Consent Creamery does to me. And he takes off his badge and says, if you need to find Dr. Laurel Ravenwood, she's probably heading off to our reconnaissance base. It's just across the street from the convention center. This little storefront's called Vanilla.
Okay, and don't worry, I definitely killed you, so you can start a new life. I've killed lots of people, they'll believe me.
That's a little scary, but I've also done some really bad stuff.
Oh, but, we can have a witness here. You want to fake your death for this person in a locker here?
Person in a locker? And you go and show him Martha / Trixie / Tamara, and you guys do this elaborate like fake death play because he's like, oh yeah, no, like I've worked with her before. She'll definitely snitch on me if I'm alive.
I mercilessly slaughter him with the frying pan.
Yeah.
As far as Trixie / Tamara / Martha can see.
Yeah. And it's a locker.
Then you slowly close like the locker door and do like this hand gesture with the two fingers, like from your eyes to hers, like you better fucking spill later.
Yes.
It works flawlessly. You both have left this situation with newfound respect and this drive to make better decisions and to be better people, because you have questioned what you have done in the past and you're now like, okay, new leaf, let's go. So Valoom Kimbo is out of there.
All right. And I come back to the exhibit hall to meet my friends, and I see how sad they are. And I say, hey, what's wrong?
Well, I'm kneeling over top of someone who is stable now. But I guess I'm anxious because the doctor gave me the slip. So, yeah, I think the kingpin might be getting away.
Oh, that's okay. I found out, I have my methods. I kill so many people. And so I found out where Dr. Laurel Ravenwood would be heading. Just in case you know.
That's great. Wait, no. Yeah, okay, where?
As all portable pen salespeople do.
Okay.
So I tell you guys about, I think it was Vanilla, maybe?
Yep.
And I give you that information, Reine and Graveyard. It's across the street from here?
I think that's where we should head then.
Should we inform any like authorities, or do we just take this into our own hands?
No snitches.
Okay.
I just killed people canonically
with a frying pan.
Yeah. I'll put this in my report later. But we do have a halfling that we need to deal with.
Okay. So you guys leave the convention center. The foyer is in a bit of a tizzy now because there are more medical people on there, and there are a couple security volunteers that are just milling around the door. But you are let through into the warm sunlight of the vanilla day. And you do see across the street, there is a brick and mortar shop with the sign Vanilla. But the sign on the door seems to say closed.
I
go ahead.
Might have an idea. Not very original, but I would perhaps try to bend fate to sort of like intimidate them in place for a bit, using maybe a more scary form, like a really big wolf or something.
Okay, who are you trying to intimidate?
I would kind of like to first make sure that maybe there's no, or like make fate sure that there's like no door on the backside of the building or something. So just to kind of like really close them in. And then maybe like turn into something like big and scary, like a wolf. And then just like no warning, extreme surprise effect, just burst in, maybe wreck the door, and just like release like a growl or a howl that just kind of like makes everyone's ears kind of like ring, and then just be like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, is this a bad time to tell you that I totally don't have the money that we were paid for this adventure anymore?
Well, but I mean, they're stealing people's things, so...
I'm telling Reine this in character to make you angrier.
Oh. Well, I guess I'm angry at them for stealing things. Like, intellectual property is a big deal.
Like, we got paid by somebody for this job, and I didn't give you guys the 15 grand, and then I just handed it to Vloom just now. So, like, you're not getting paid because of me. So that's what I'm sharing with you as you break the store down.
Fair?
Graveyard Shift is nonplussed and not surprised.
I think Carol got really lucky being in a party with two do-gooders.
I just don't care. Oh my gosh, I'd be so mad. Okay, keep going. I thought that would help. Can she have the help action because I made her angry?
Yeah. If you want to make another declaration to kind of assist with her second one, you can definitely do that.
Good. Make sure your wolf succeeds.
I mean, you would probably realize though that the money doesn't really make her angry, but like, if you more poke into this thing of like, yeah, they're like using other people and the people don't even know about it, like who are being wronged, that would probably make her really angry.
No, okay, so definitely a declaration to change fate to make sure that there's only one way in, one way out. But I think you transforming into a wolf would also be a declaration if it's something magical and you want it to be especially intimidating.
Yeah.
So let's do the first declaration first for the one way in, one way out. Draw your card. Reine.
It is correct side up, High Priestess.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think I have any major arcana left at this point. I swear, it's not rigged.
That's okay. You know, sometimes it happens. Okay, so the High Priestess represents intuition and higher wisdom. So it's not that there isn't another way out, but it's that very quickly you direct your friends to go and cover the entrances and exits, even including windows and things like that, knowing that this would be a potential means of escape. And so you're able to use a little bit of magic and ingenuity to cut those exits off. So, you know, jamming the doors, making sure that like the windows are locked from the outside, things like that. And so you have now created a one way in, one way out potential kill box. Okay, so let's make your second declaration for your intimidation and fury turning into a wolf.
I drew the fool face up, so I can't really help you all that much.
I drew the star the wrong way around.
Oh boy. Ooh. Okay. So the fool represents a fresh start and a leap of faith. The star, in its right side up orientation, is hope, spirituality, and guidance.
Oof.
So we had the star reversed and the fool upright. So here's what happens. You transform into this wolf, Reine, and burst into the shop, heedless of the countless numbers of people around you who are witnesses to what has just happened. And you enter the vanilla through the broken door, and you immediately see in a back room, like kind of just like peeking out of it, trying to see what's going on, Dr. Laurel Ravenwood. And upon seeing you, she immediately blanches. Her skin goes pale, and she goes immediately into the back room. And you can hear her pulling at a door, but it's locked because you all had jammed it earlier. What would you like to do?
I would like to like maybe follow her like into the back room.
Okay.
Are there any other people from her? Yeah, right? Like in the front of the shop?
Yeah, so in front of the shop you have regular passersby, but she's the only one in the shop. Graveyard and Carol, what are you two doing right now?
So Wolf just went through the front door.
Mm-hmm.
And am I still on the street?
Yes, you both are.
Okay. I think I'm going to go inside because I know something is happening every time I go deeper into this trying to be a double agent, but I have magical compulsions. So I'm going to go in to try to get either this broken, and also because I think I'm being pulled that way. So I'm following the wolf.
As you start to head in, I notice that I'm just going to have my character notice that your empathy is switched off, right?
Yeah, you would notice it. You know me well enough.
Okay. All right. But you're inside. Before I can react, I just want to have in character my knowledge. Yeah. That way it's not metagaming later when I do something about it. And I don't go inside. This is a store of some kind, right? With customers and a back. And I just jammed the door for my bird friend who tweeted at it. So I know that there's an infrastructure here, like buildings next door. This shares walls. I'm picturing like a strip mall where there's stores on the left and the right. There's a ceiling. There's probably an underground septic system and all that. Like, the back door is jammed. I stand outside the front door and I lean against it with my arms crossed, sort of like how a modern person would like play on their phone. I'm just looking at my fingernails and hanging out. And I'm gonna wait here.
Okay. Guarding the door again, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Graveyard, you come in behind Reine. And Reine, you can see this halfling woman is terrified. She is scrambling against the door, and now her back is to it, and there's a snarling wolf in front of her. She takes out from her pocket a little cigarette case and opens it, and there's a piece of licorice in it. And she kind of just tosses it to you as though trying to placate you.
In a different system, Reine can talk in wolf form, but only as a wolf. Is that right in the system too?
Yeah.
Okay. She would probably like lower her head a little bit and kind of like try and speak in like a very low and like throaty voice and just like give it more volume than it like actually has. And maybe you'd go like the ominous round and be sort of like, I know what you've done.
She backs up. She tries to back up further, but she's already against the wall. And she says, I have no idea what you're talking about. You come in here just trying to wreck this poor shop and corner me in the back room. Who are you? What are you doing here?
Lie sayer. You steal.
And when you say that in just the most fundamental language, lie sayer, you steal, you see her face fall and she just starts crying. And she just says, I had no choice. I needed to protect people. You can't imagine what they'd do to me if I left, if I ran away.
Who?
If I tell you, you will be compelled to find out more. I do not want to put that upon you, even if you might kill me.
Oh, so was sweet. I think she would probably want to get to the bottom. She'd probably just maybe take like a step closer, have this like massive paw kind of like rustle up some dust as she like takes another step that's like really weighty, and just like repeat, "Ooh."
She looks at you and then seems to see Graveyard for the first time behind you, and she says, I can sense the binding magic on you," she says, pointing to Graveyard. "Do you already know?"
I don't know who you're afraid of, but I've started this journey. I might as well see it through to the end. You can tell me.
She hesitates, thinking internally, and you can tell she's not wrestling with any kind of loyalty to whoever she's bound to. She's wrestling with something else. And she eventually looks at both of you with very solemn eyes and says, "It is Consent Creamery's head of information. Their name is Egan. Egan H. Diabolo."
I'm just making a note.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just making a note, that's all.
As soon as she says that name, you feel the magic complete. This contract, now that you have been subjected to Graveyard, is not necessarily one of, I have to do what this person says, but it is, this person now knows about you and knows that you know about them. But beyond that, you don't know what might happen in the future.
Okay.
And as soon as she shares that name, there is a sort of a release, I guess, of not a calm release, not like, oh yes, finally it's done. It's just like resignation. Oh, I'm so dead.
Oh, for her? For the doctor?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why are you afraid to have told me this?
It is not that I'm afraid of you knowing. You are already bound by the magic. But that one, she says, pointing to Reine, they are under that magic too now. And Reine, you felt it building. It's been kind of hard to tell in your more woven form, but you feel that same magical connection establish. It is a knowledge of somebody else and knowledge that they also know you. And so Dr. Laurel Ravenwood shakes her head and says, "Listen, I don't want to cause any rifts, and you will certainly be needing my help now that you know about him." And she takes out a business card, 2 business cards, and hands it to you. And you can see it says, Consent Creamery Consultant, Dr. Laurel Ravenwood, Unorthodox Treats. And she says, "Give me a call on your sending stone if you ever need some help navigating this new relationship. They will eventually reach out to you. I don't know when, I don't know how, but let's just leave everything as is for now. And perhaps we can start anew another time."
Okay. I wish you the best. If you need protection, if you are under physical threat, you may seek out fire-breathing kittens. It's kind of what we do.
Wolf hands her his business card, and it says, "It's kind of what we do" on it.
Straight from the manual. She nods and says, "Fire-breathing kittens. I will keep that in mind." And she moves to try and squeeze past you guys to leave the room. Do you let her?
For her own safety, and because I also don't trust her, no.
Reine can probably just sit down and like take up the entire door space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, I think, given what you've told me and us, that it would be best if you stayed with us for now.
I hope this isn't a threat.
No.
Well, I suppose I have no choice right now.
No.
All right. And she just kind of sits in a corner and starts crying. Just like quietly, but she's obviously an emotional wreck.
Can Reine like sort of like go over and like put her massive head just like sort of like on her lap, kind of like a therapy dog, but also like a weighted blanket so she doesn't run up and run away.
Of course. And Dr. Laurel Ravenwood leans into that. She starts petting you and she says, I really wanted to go to the therapy dog session today, but I was just so busy.
And how does that make you feel?
So sad. All right. Is there anything else you guys would like to do? You have caught a couple of spies.
Can I do something before we leave this store?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm leaning too long. I'm looking at my nails too long. People are getting suspicious. I notice their attention. I take out the portable pan. The portable pan is both a table and a pan. And I slice, I dice. I seem to have nicked some onions from earlier. And I'm demonstrating the pan and handing out the business cards.
Okay.
And I'm saying, if you want to pre-order, send your 2,000 gold to this address and I will send you a pan.
There are some people who immediately hear the price point and they're like, oh my goodness, 2,000 gold for a pan? Not even if it levitates, and head out. But there are some people who exit the convention center, including a couple of security personnel who are noticing this random vendor outside of a store with a broken door.
Well, I'll be off. I head around to the back of the building and I hang out there.
Okay.
Or, actually, I should probably, because I don't know, I'm not going to metagame. From the back of the building, I enter into the door that I blocked earlier and I check in on my friends. I see the wolf with the weighted blanket head and the, and the graveyard. I guess we all go back to the guild hall together. But, just had to stick that in there because all of us retire our characters at the end of each season. Maybe she'll find a way to escape from her current life. With all these pans, it's like Kickstarter, right? You got to get the money and then you can make the product. Maybe that'll work out. New goal, find a way to make a bunch of levitating pans. Then I can stop killing people. I mean, being a salesperson. All right, so I join you guys in the back. All right, go ahead, Graveyard. We're back at the guild hall all together.
Okay, so there's two things. One, when we were walking, was there any bums or panhandlers?
I mean, there's one panhandler in your group.
Yeah, there is.
I had to. I'm sorry. You set it up so well.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, there are a couple, especially hanging close to around the convention center. Like, it's a food and beverage convention. Maybe people will be bringing out leftovers and stuff.
Okay.
Or have, some cash they want to spend. So for sure.
I'm going to pass by one of them, feel bad for him, and toss him a coin. When I do that, I notice my empathy switch was set to off. I'm like, oh, I forgot. And then I click it back to on. It's fake.
That's incredible. Oh
it's
my
used for
gosh.
interrogations. I have to live with everything I do no matter what. There's no escaping it.
Oh, Graveyard's a real boy.
That's amazing.
And then when we get back to the guild hall, I'm going to find a secluded place and try to make a connection with Egan H. Diabolo.
Okay.
Do I feel anything? Does anything happen? And I will spend a declaration if you want me to.
Yes. So I will say this is nearing the end of that 3-hour time limit, but you can still make a declaration if you would like. It would certainly help your chances.
Okay. I have Justice Reversed.
Oh, wow. What a perfect card. So justice in its upright position represents righteousness, fairness, cause and effect. Reversed is interesting for this connection. Tell me, Graveyard, is there anything in particular you would like to communicate to this Egan H. Diabolo? Or is it just like a feeling or some other kind of information?
Well, I was going to try to convey a message, and I'll flavor it with the reverse justice scales. It was going to be a bit more righteous, but now it's going to be different.
Okay.
Egan. Hello, Egan. I don't know if you can hear me. I am pretty sure you can. Understand that we share a bond. Understand that I will give you no quarter. Understand you've made a bond with someone very dangerous. There will be no empathy for you. There will be no mercy for you. It has been set.
You send this message out into the ether through this magical connection you've established. And for a few moments, you don't know if it's made its way to the person. You've used the last of your bit of fate, so you know it should get there. But it takes long enough to where you're questioning, is this actually what's going on? Then there is a low chuckle. Oh my. I've certainly never gotten a message like that before. I think this is going to be a very interesting partnership. Graveyard shift. And with that, we'll end our episode.
Cool.
Thanks everyone for playing today. I hope you all had fun. We were joined by Reine.
Definitely a lot of fun. And, you know, how does that make you feel?
Cheryl.
Have you heard the one about the salesperson selling shoes made out of alligator?
No.
No, I have not.
Turns out it was crock.
All right. And then last week we were joined by Graveyard Shift.
Hello. I've made a new partnership. Not a new friend this time. A new partnership.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. And again, if you like this system, leave a review. And you can find Foretold, a tarot RPG, on DriveThruRPG. Bye.
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 Have you heard of Yukon North of Ordinary? Yukon North of Ordinary, the podcast, shares a more in-depth take on the most popular stories from their quarterly magazine, showcasing the Yukon Territory's extraordinary people, culture, and outdoors. Listen to stories about life in northern Canada. Yukoners share what they're up to, on the land, around town, and sometimes in the water, from mountain climbing and cave dwelling to wildlife research and acts of reconciliation. Check out Yukon North of Ordinary, a podcast.